Today's topic is serious. An NFL legend just can't believe the Ravens fired John Harbaugh. Yes, you read that right. This isn't rumor. It isn't gossip. It actually happened, and it left a lot of people stunned. When someone that big in the league is shocked, you know something major is going on, and you need to understand what's behind it. Stick with me until the end, because nothing about the story is normal. Harbaugh's exit wasn't just any coaching change, and this legend's reaction shows that something here doesn't quite add up. There's backstage drama, there's a controversial decision, and there's that feeling of this wasn't supposed to happen now. You're going to see the details and decide whether you agree or not. But one thing's for sure, this news shakes up the Ravens and the entire NFL. When Tony Dungy saw the news that John Harbaugh had been fired, he stopped and thought, this just doesn't feel right. He was genuinely surprised, the kind of surprise where you frown and try to make sense of it. He didn't speak like some distant analyst. He spoke like someone who knows the game, knows the coach, and knows how much is already done. The feeling was very clear. Something big happened here, and it doesn't match what Dungy believes Harbaugh deserves. Dungy wasn't just talking to talk. He was talking about someone he relates to as a coach and as a leader. He knows what it's like to run a team for years, deal with pressure, wins, losses, and everything that comes with it. So when he says he doesn't understand the firing, it isn't drama, it's experience speaking. He looks at Harbaugh's history and sees someone who built a lot and still ended up pushed out in a sudden way. That shock also has everything to do with the level of respect coaches in the NFL have for each other. They know how much this job takes out of you, how hard it is to keep a team competitive for so long, and Dungy sees that clearly in Harbaugh. So when he sees his run come to an end, he feels something doesn't line up, a winning coach, a long story, and suddenly fired. It's like there's a missing explanation that really makes it make sense. And that's when you start thinking right along with him. If a coach with all of that on his resume got fired, what really happened inside that building? That kind of reaction opens a door to a bigger conversation, not just about the shock, but about Harbaugh's entire journey and everything he accomplished, which naturally leads us to look at his career and understand why this decision feels so strange. When you look at everything John Harbaugh did in Baltimore, it's hard to just shrug and say, yeah, firing him is normal. He was there for 18 years, led the team through every kind of situation, won a Super Bowl, and took them to playoffs over and over. It's like that teacher who's been at the school forever. Everyone knows how important he is, and suddenly he just disappears. That's why so many people see this decision and feel like something doesn't add up. His career wasn't built only on numbers. It was built on respect around the league. Players, coaches, and fans know he gave the team an identity, helped build rosters, went through good and bad phases, and still kept them competitive. So when people hear he got fired, it feels like a huge story is being erased way too fast. That's what makes the decision even harder to explain for anyone who's been paying attention. And here's the key point. Dungy isn't alone in thinking that way. A lot of people look at Harbaugh's resume and think, how does a guy like that lose his job after a rough season that wasn't even a total disaster? It feels like the results of 1 year weighed more than almost 2 decades of solid work. And then the question just keeps echoing in your head. Was this really fair? Once you put all of that on the scale, Harbaugh's career explains why so many people were bothered by the firing. And that naturally leads into another big question. Who actually makes these decisions inside a team, and how much that affects the coach's job? Something that really comes into focus when you start talking about team owners. In a lot of NFL teams, the owner isn't just watching from the luxury box. He wants to be involved, give opinions, make calls, and sometimes basically set the team's direction himself. When that happens, the coach's job gets way more complicated because he stops being just a locker room leader and starts having to deal with decisions from above all the time. In the Ravens situation, a lot of people began asking how much the front office and ownership influenced Harbaugh's exit. Tony Dungy hit that exact point. He said any coach needs to understand how involved the owner is before he even accepts a job. That changes everything. How you build a roster, how you plan long-term, and even how much patience there is when results dip. If the owner wants instant results, even after years of success, the pressure skyrockets, and decisions like this firing become way more likely, even when the coach's history is incredibly strong. That kind of interference can break projects that were being built carefully. Coaches think long-term development, continuity. Some owners think right now reaction, next season at all costs. That's where silent conflicts start, the ones we don't always see directly, but they show up in shocking decisions like this, just like what happened here. And when you see that whole scenario, you realize Harbaugh's firing isn't just about one coach. It's about how NFL teams are run. And that connects to another big discussion. How much of what went wrong was really under the coach's control, and how much came from things no coach can fix?
All right, we're already past the halfway point of this video, but before we continue, I noticed you haven't left a like yet. It's really important because it helps YouTube keep showing you my content so I can keep bringing you the best news about the Baltimore Ravens. So go ahead and hit that like button. It's free and it really helps. Thanks. Now let's get back to it.
A lot of people criticizing the firing pointed out something simple. Not everything that happens this season is a coach's fault. There are injuries, games decided on the final play, situations that completely blow up the best plan. With the Ravens, a missed field goal at the end basically changed the team's entire fate, and that matters when you think about what truly led to 8-9. It's tough to throw all of that on one person when so much was out of anyone's control. At the same time, some people argue that the team had been stacking playoff disappointments, and at some point someone was going to pay the price. That group believes a coaching change can shake things up, bring new ideas, and maybe finally break that cycle of frustration. Those are two strong opinions colliding. Patience with a legendary coach versus urgency for different results. But when you think calmly, it's pretty clear both things can be true at once. Harbaugh really does have a great resume, and he also went through tough stretches. The team also felt some painful losses recently. The real question is which side weighs more on the scale, the long story he built or the need to make an immediate change. And that's exactly where the controversy explodes. And that whole debate gets even louder when one detail shows up that basically speaks for itself. Even after he was fired, Harbaugh didn't stay unemployed. Multiple teams reached out right away. That shows how he's viewed around the league and leads straight into the next point, his value on the market and the pressure that puts on Baltimore. As soon as the firing became official, reports came out about teams already interested in John Harbaugh, and it happened fast. That makes one thing very clear. He's still seen as a top-tier NFL head coach. He didn't go out the back door. He instantly became one of the most wanted names for teams looking for leadership experience and wins. That immediate interest puts the Ravens in a tight spot. They didn't just fire a winning coach. They released someone who could now make a rival stronger. That raises the stakes on the decision they made, because now the football world is going to watch two things at once. How the Ravens perform without Harbaugh, and how Harbaugh performs wherever he lands next. Tony Dungy used that exact point to show how the firing reshapes the league. A coach like this hitting the open market changes interviews, hiring cycles, plans. Everything in the coaching carousel. He instantly becomes a central piece, and that only reinforces the idea that this wasn't a small move. It shook up half the league in one shot. And in the end, the big question that everyone feels, even if they don't say it out loud, is this. Were the Ravens being bold by chasing quick change, or did they move on from one of the greatest figures in franchise history way too soon? The answer won't come overnight. It's going to unfold over the next games, next seasons, and the next chapters of the story that's just starting right now. Reaching the end of all this, one thing is obvious. Firing John Harbaugh wasn't just a routine end-of-season decision. It shook big names across the NFL. It hit the Ravens' identity, and it changed the entire environment around the league. That legend's reaction shows the size of the impact, because when someone that respected says, "I don't get it," it opens a door to doubt, questions, and a closer look at what really happened behind the scenes. Everything we talked about here shows how this moment becomes a turning point for the franchise. Now, the big question is in your hands. Was this change necessary, or did it happen way too soon to one of the most important coaches in team history? Was it a brave step towards something new, or a mistake that could cost them big? I want to hear from you. Drop your opinion in the comments and tell me whether you agree with the NFL legend or think the Ravens did what they had to do. And the truth is, the next few weeks are going to say a lot. The next head coach, the next direction of the franchise, and Harbaugh's future somewhere else could completely change the picture we know today. There's a real sense of suspense and full attention now, because decisions this big never happen quietly. So comment below, jump into the conversation, and keep following this story because this saga is just getting started.
And if you, just like me, are passionate about the world of football and want to learn more about the Ravens' legacy, don't leave this video without sharing it with that friend who is also a Baltimore Ravens fan and will love this content. See those video suggestions on your screen? The first one was handpicked just for you, and the other is a recommendation from YouTube itself.